I would like you to stay on stage for the next fireside chat that we are going to have on 5G after the auction's next step. And for this session, I would like to call upon our esteemed panelists, Rashim Kapoor, Executive Vice President and CTO Networks, Bharti Airtel, Lieutenant General Dr. P Kochhar, DG COAI, Samir Vayuru, Head of WW Business Development for Communication Service Providers, Amazon Web Services, and this session will be moderated by Pradeep Gupta, Chairman, CyberMedia Group. Gentlemen, I would like you to please assemble on stage.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, once again, and good morning to my panel. Since we are running late, my request to the panel that, like good TV debates, we will keep it to the point, 1 or 2 minute answers, and let's try and cover this wide area in about 20 minutes time. So with that, the topic is after the auctions what, right? So let me first start with you, General Saab. We saw unprecedented collaboration between the government and the industry, okay? But I'm sure there are still some challenges. So what do you think should be done? What needs to be addressed today?
Thank you, Pij. Thank you for that question. Yes, I agree with you that the cooperation between industry and government has been unprecedented and has been very fast-paced. And it is likely to continue, it is certain to continue in the future. Now, this area which is yet to be covered, or area which a lot of more work has to be done, if I have to put bullet points on that. The first one is infrastructure. Like the keynote speaker said that about 70%, 65 to 70% of our towers are not fiberized as of now. With 5G coming in, fiberization is a must. And a lot of effort has been done by the government to bring in essential laws and regulations, and is continuing. We as industry are also trying to put in our best to see that fiberization happens, and we are ably supported by the government. For example, the ROW portal, for example, the Gati Shakti portal, what has come about is of great help.
Yeah, so, ROW has been around now for almost more than a decade. So what do you think can specifically be done now? And, government has time and again said that if there is any problem, come to us. But still, practically, it doesn't work. So any suggestions
Practically, why it doesn't work is you are trying to solve a physical problem by physical means, by movement of files. This is the first time that we are trying to solve a physical problem by technology, and it will work. Because the power of a babu is to stop the file. In technology, that will not happen. And that is what we have seen in the recent drive which the government has undertaken. The cut in the processing time has been fantastic. And Mr. Dua will tell you that it has come down to 22 days now? 21 days. So this is the power of technology to solve non-technical problems. So that is what is happening now.
Okay, so fiberization of towers, as well as the second thing that you talked about is the ROW related or clearance related issues.
I would put that under a bullet which I would call ease of doing business.
Right.
Because there are many factors in that which are regulatory, policy, operational, even strategic. Even the recent amendment which is being talked about the Telegraph Act, is a step in that direction.
Yeah, that's
so the government has taken a realistic view that outdated rules and regulations, laws have to go. And they have to go in conjunction and in consultation with industry. And that is what is happening. And the third one is cost optimization, which has always been a problem, will remain a problem, and revenue generation. And that is where I see a lot of collaboration happening.
So cost and revenue, just hold on for a second. I think I will come to that because that's an important part of the discussion that I want to have. So Rashim, and your name is so apt because all the telco companies are today rushing, right, in terms of implementation of 5G. So therefore, from Airtel's point of view, how ready you are, what is really happening in this breakneck world behind the scenes?
So our backend infrastructure is already ready with 5G. So our core is ready, transport is ready. We have made our data centers infrastructure ready. We have also demonstrated a lot of use cases during our trials in Hyderabad. And during our trials in the key cities, we have demonstrated use cases both on the enterprise side and on the retail side, both on the high-speed broadband and on the enterprise side. As the time goes, we will be basically rushing our rollout starting from the metros to the other places. And we'll be able to leverage our existing fiber assets, our event to give a best customer experience.
And what are the challenges that you are seeing? Is fibration of towers, is that one of the...
I would say fibration of tower is good to have, but now there are other options available. So E-band has been a very welcome opportunity. E-band will complement fiber. It will give speed as high as 1 Gbps as the last mile speed. Challenges on fiber remains. Our endeavor is to fiberize our sites as much as possible. But as mentioned, both ROW issues, the cost of ROW and time to fiberize, those issues still remain.
So General Saab talked about the cost, so now let me move on there. This is a big sort of a debate that has been going on. Who is going to pay for all these investments that are being made by the telco in the infrastructure? So is it going to be retail? Is it going to be business? What's your take on that?
Well, I think the cost aspect of this is going to depend on the revenue generation aspects of those are tied together. When you can basically align cost of implementation with the revenue generation and not have that 2 to 3 year lag that has historically happened in the industry, that question kind of goes away a little bit because the consumer, whether it be an enterprise or a person, is the person who's actually funding the service that he or she or the corporation needs. So we're a big proponent of experimenting in multiple industries with multiple use cases and really figuring out which of those is starting to generate revenue and aligning the investment to that. So
yeah, but a broad picture,
Yeah.
how much do you think from enterprise, how much from retail side, who is going to be paying for these?
there is a large belief that the 5G deployments will be enterprise driven. We share that belief, but I don't think we should ever prognosticate as to which industry vertical is going to be the first one to go. Because the question is...
And what
Yeah.
sort of percentage breakup? Because today enterprise would be perhaps 20% and 80% would be coming from retail. So do you see the same kind of a thing? Or
I do. I do. I think there is about a 5-year ramp for the enterprise side to actually start becoming meaningful and profitable and meaningful. Right. Until then, the consumer is still going to be the prime driver of adoption, just because of the lag. And our role as collaborators in the industry is how do you shorten that adoption cycle for the enterprise? Because right now it's way too long.
So General Saab, your take on the same question. And it has always been difficult to get more money out of the consumer, especially with the past experience where competitors have come out with cheaper services and so on. So how do you see, there was a discussion earlier that ARPU is something that needs to go up. So what do you think can be the methodology for that?
So I agree with Sameer that over a longer period, it will be finally the consumer who will be paying. But in the shorter period, I don't think with the Indian sensitivities, consumer is going to pay extra for just speed and latency. So initially, the revenues will start ramping up from the enterprise side, and the indirect effect will be on the consumer. The services which will be rolled out by the enterprise will be consumed by the consumer only if he subscribes to 5G services. And that is how the cycle will proceed. And it will reach an end state, what Sameer said. The consumer, today, the enterprise, we are saying that revenue coming from enterprise should be around 70 to 80% initially. But over a period of maybe 4 to 5 years, it'll reverse. It'll go back to the consumer. But that is because the driving force will be enterprise adaptation.
Okay, so enterprise resulting into more customer usage. And therefore, Rashim, in terms of Airtel, where are you placing your bets on, and therefore what sort of technology solutions are you working on to ensure that revenue streams, those revenue streams can be captured?
So, mobile broadband will continue to be one of the major use cases. And because the speed will increase, the consumption will also increase. We have seen across the globe the consumption increasing by 2 to 3x. So that will be should be one of the revenue driver. Fixed wireless access would be a new service which would get launched. Wherever fiber feasibility is not there, fixed wireless will come into play. Then gaming require a very low latency and some guarantee on QoS. That can be one of the revenue opportunities on the retail side. On the enterprise, I would say whenever the ultra low latency use cases become real, there will be many more use cases, but initial would be edge data centers should be one big use case. Then private 5G with complement of slicing, giving guaranteeing to the enterprise customer would be one of the use cases.
Okay. Sameer, you did mention that, difficult to pinpoint industries and so on, but still let me ask you that question and put you on the spot. Healthcare was talked about earlier. You also mentioned about healthcare. Autonomous vehicles, we are nowhere possibly there right now in India. But what kind of entertainment is, of course, a big piece in India. So what are, as per you, could possibly be, and that's why I'm using could possibly be, the industries or the enterprise usage that could be driving this?
Yeah, thank you for the caveats. Right. I am going to step back for a minute, right? I get asked this question all of the time by most of the telco executives that I deal with. Which industry should I invest in? And my answer has always been, we don't know. We've seen about 280 different industries being served. Pick the most flexible platform you can find and experiment in all 280. It costs you nothing to experiment.
Okay, can I ask you this question differently?
Okay.
You are doing it in a number of countries. So can you share some examples of other countries where, and can you share that this is what worked in such and such place?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take, I'll give you 3 use cases that we're starting to see really ramp at a broad level without naming the customer. The first one is the computer vision use cases, right? Really looking at a vertically integrated stack that uses intelligence to parse where the decisioning on the computer vision takes place. So it's security cameras. The telcos, in my opinion, should own that market. Wireless security aspect of it. That's one. The second one we're seeing in the United States primarily, but also in Europe, is the state local education departments, where the private networks are being asked for and being deployed. And the third one is really public safety.
Security, safety, education.
Absolutely.
Those
Mostly the public
the 3
sector-driven
keywords
ones at this point.
Okay. General Saab, and especially, we were earlier having the discussion on healthcare and so on. So some additional views from you on what could be the verticals. Is machine to machine, M2M still distant? Is Industry 4.0 becoming a reality, and so on?
See, PG, let me start by making an assertion. Nobody in the world knows which is the killer app today. Everybody is guessing.
I absolutely agree with you.
So-
That's why I gave the caveat that I understand,
Yeah.
but still, it is the people with the gray hair or no hair who can actually, possibly give great amount of inputs there.
Yeah, see, wherever we require artificial intelligence insertions, wherever we require AR, VR, augmented reality, those are the areas which we need to focus on. Because if we are going to look at 5G wearing the spectacles of 4G, we will go wrong. And this is what is happening today. We haven't yet started looking at 5G as 5G. Whenever we talk of healthcare, we talk of education, that can be done with even 4G. So what is so special about 5G? That is where sensors come in, what Samir was saying. Computer vision comes in, processing comes in, which will not only change the way, the life of people, but will also raise the level of employment to a different scale. So those are the things which will affect the people. And in a democracy, anything that affects the people is an application. So I think anything which touches the lives of people will be the first application in India which will work, which includes governance.
Okay. Let me spend the last 3 minutes quickly on technology. So, a question to you on, you've always been a proponent of open vRAN. So what all is happening there in terms of, how do you see that rollout?
So Airtel has a big focus on Open RAN. We started the journey early, even with our 4G networks. We invested a lot of time and efforts on that. With 5G, we have started doing some testing and even the live deployment in some of the clusters. The main intent is to check the performance and the interop with the 4G network, which still remains a bit of challenge. The second challenge and the thing to solve on ORAN is the cost of the ORAN. And with the new chipsets which are coming up, both from the Intel and Qualcomm, and building ORANs on those particular chips would definitely reduce the cost.
Okay. And Samir, last question to you. So, you made a great case for the public cloud. What is the reality in India in terms of the adaption of the public cloud?
Specifically for the telco industry,
Yeah.
we have engagements with all 4 and more of the operators here in India. Now, there are multiple aspects to this, right? There is the application layer, there's the data layer, as I talked about. But my sense is you're asking about the network itself, right? And so in the network, it's very early days, right? And it's, I would say, at conversations, and what I would encourage the community here to think about is experiment with us. Costs you nothing. The upside is massive. Let's go experiment. That's what we do. We experiment and see how it works.
Sure, absolutely. And this is one industry which has experimented a lot, with the sort of changes that have happened over the last 2 decades. And I'm sure that is something that the industry will...
The difference, Pradeep, is the cost of experimentation is close to zero.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely true.
That is the reason why it will happen.
Yeah.
Because cost optimization and increasing efficiencies is what the telcos want.
Absolutely,
So that
absolutely.
these things will happen.
They did it earlier in terms of, putting all the assets of the infrastructure together and so on. So that cost optimization is something, but, all said and done, somewhere I think the return on capital employed for the entire industry needs to improve and needs to go up. With that, thank you very much, gentlemen. In a short time period of 20 minutes, I think we have covered a lot of bases in terms of, you know, what needs to be done in terms of the government agenda, what needs to be done in terms of the private sector agenda, where, which industries or users are going to be paying for it, as well as looking at what kind of technologies focus is currently being provided. So with that, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for a very, very interesting session.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you
you.
so much, everybody. Can I request the panelists to please be on stage? And PG, can you please felicitate them with tokens of appreciation for giving their time and their insights to us? Thank you so much to all three of you and to PG.